Welcome everybody. It's Alcohol Awareness Week this week, as you know. I'm Jackie Scott. I'm an alcohol recovery volunteer working out of Burnley in Spire. And I'm here with some of my peers and colleagues just to talk a little bit about alcohol awareness and a little bit about our experience and our journey with Inspire. So first of all, I just want to think about really what Alcohol Awareness Week means to me. And if you'd have asked me this 2 years ago, I just wouldn't have had a clue. But it is quite high on our agenda as sort of recovering alcoholics. It's such a wonderful opportunity, I think, for people like us to get out there and just to raise awareness about how the risks associated with alcohol and about how to access help if we need it. And I think we'll all be talking a little bit more about that as we go along. So, Gemma, what does it mean to you, Alcohol Awareness Week?
Well, personally, I wasn't aware of Alcohol Awareness Week until we've talked about doing this. I think if I'd known about it, I would have looked more into it online and considered that there was other people that were in the same position as me. So I perhaps would have looked into it sooner, looked into getting help sooner.
You Katie?
Similar to Gemma's answer, alcohol awareness means it gives an opportunity to raise awareness to people who would not normally seek help and or to those who don't see their drinking as an issue.
Thanks, Katie. Jackie? What does it mean?
Yeah, alcohol awareness gives people the chance to think about their own drinking habits and address if they've got problems with alcohol and the impact that it could have on themselves or their family members. And that's basically it, really.
Brilliant, thank you. I'll hand over to you, Gemma.
Thank you. So next we're going to talk about our experiences with alcohol. My personal experience was I was binge drinking. I just couldn't moderate at all. It affected my family life, just generally everything in a negative way. I think alcohol breeds depression, and I found myself in a really, really bad place. And I couldn't cope with it on my own anymore. So, Jackie, Scott, if I can pass it over to you, what was your experience with alcohol?
Well, very similar to you, and I think everybody's got sort of similar stories, although, again, I suppose there are differences. I was very much in denial. It took a lot for me to actually admit that I had a problem with alcohol. Many years, a very happy social drinker. I had a lot of life events happen to me in very quick succession. I had to look after my mum who had dementia, and there were various other things. And I think I realised I had a problem, and other people realised that I had a problem. And I was drinking by myself. It wasn't a social activity anymore, and I was using alcohol to blot other issues out. Mistakenly, I thought that I was suffering from depression, but I went for counselling, and my counsellor very wisely said, do you not really think that alcohol is actually your problem rather than this thing that you're trying to use as a solution? And that, among other things, made me decide I wanted to go and seek help.
Thanks for that, Jackie. How about you, Katie? What was your experience?
My experience with alcohol, I grew up with a dad who's a tarmacer and my mother had her own issues, so drinking was sort of the norm in my house. But I knew something wasn't quite right from going to other friends' houses as you do when you grow up. I didn't actually start drinking until I went to university, and then it was only socially. I stopped drinking socially because I felt pregnant whilst I was at uni. And I didn't again until my late 20s. It became an issue, I'd say, when I was in a really unsupportive manager in a really stressful job, even though I liked my job. And then I weren't getting on with my children's dad. I changed social group. It was lots of little things where it became an issue, and I also began mixing it with cocaine. So that's when it became obvious there was something not quite right, really, for me. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Katie. Jackie, over to you. What was your experience?
My experience started about 20 years ago. I was in an abusive relationship and I drank to numb the pain and the trauma that I was going through on a daily basis. It was like my coping mechanism. It was the only way I could escape from what was going on. I found out that I got post-traumatic stress disorder. It was absolutely horrendous. It was that bad that I couldn't get up in the morning without having a drink because I couldn't stop shaking, and I was just totally dependent on alcohol, and I just used it to cope with what was my situation at the time, and that's my experience with it. Horrible.
Thanks, Jackie.
Excuse me. My question would be, what was your experience seeking support, ladies? Sorry, Jackie. Jackie Scott, I'll ask you first.
Okay. Well, as I said, I went for counselling for my depression, and my very wise counsellor pointed me in the direction of Inspire. And kind of right from the word go, even from the receptionist who spoke to me on the phone when I phoned up, was just so helpful, so welcoming, so non-judgmental, exactly the opposite of what I expected it all to be about. And I think from the minute I walked through the door and was welcomed in by Kieran and James on the day that I came to the building. I mean, I might have run away had it not been for them. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't the warm welcome that I got. Yeah, so that was it for me.
Gemma, can I ask you next, please?
Yeah, it was really hard for me to admit that I had a problem and accept it. And then I was afraid to be tarred with the brush of being an addict. But once I began to get the support, everything started to fall into place. So yeah, it was good, yeah.
Thank you. And Jackie Taylor, please.
Yeah, my experience with getting help was scary because I've been using for quite a long time, so I was scared. But as soon as I got in through the doors, it was like all that fear had disappeared because people who I was talking to actually understood me. And for a long time, I'd never had anybody that actually understood me. Everybody was welcoming, smiley faces, and they made me feel welcome. So I felt like I was part of the family. It was really good. I'd like to ask, what was your experience with the service? That goes to you, Jackie Scott.
Thank you. It's a really good opportunity actually for me to talk about the service, because very rapidly, from being something that I was dreading, absolutely dreading and terrified of, and just terrified of being part of this whole thing, it very quickly became something that I really look forward to. So the first thing that I joined was the Extended Brief Interventions Group, EBI, which is 5 sessions, an hour long each, over a period of 5 weeks. And that's just purely education. I learned so much education about alcohol, why it has this power over us that it does, things that potentially you might look forward to, work that you might have to do in the future in order to get control of the situation. It was absolutely marvellous, and I just wanted more. So I moved from there, from doing EBI, went straight on to oh my goodness, help me out. What did we do, Katie, together?
Live and Thrive.
Thrive. I wanted to say foundations because I'm working in the building. I hear about that such a lot. So we did Live and Thrive together, Katie and I, and that's intensive. That's a 12-week program, 3 hours, 3 times a week, and it's very interactive. It's very therapeutic work that you do, and that rapidly became a lifeline to the point where, as I was starting to move towards the end of the program, I was thinking, what do I need? I can't. What will I do when this ends? Who am I gonna get this sort of help from? And it dawned on me that I still wanted to be part of Inspire. That as I've done Live and Thrive and been supportive to some of my peers as they were coming into that group, because it is a very sort of, you do expose quite a lot of yourself, and people sometimes need a little bit of support and encouragement to do that, and I enjoyed doing that, and so I went from there and decided I wanted to become a volunteer, and so that was me.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Jackie. What about you, Gemma? What was your experience with the service?
Well, my experience started just as lockdown started. So everything moved on to Zoom, which moved really quickly, because I thought everything was going to come to a standstill. I wasn't going to get any help, but it moved on really quickly. And yeah, and the way that it was done, you could have been in a room with the people that you were on the course with. And yeah, I agree with everything Jackie said about it. It's been really beneficial for me. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks for that, Gemma. What about you, Katie?
I sought help from Inspire because I knew I needed help. So I did a self-referral, and I also came through on a court order as well. So I kind of got lost in the system at the beginning. So it was very confusing. However, once I was in the system, my experience has been absolutely fantastic. My key worker Matt is just amazing. He's a proper superhero. He's fantastic. And Dennis on Live and Thrive, they're just people who work at Inspire are there for a reason, and they're just brilliant people. They're an absolute pair of gents who they have a lot to thank them for.
Thank you for that. I'd like to tell you about my experiences. My experiences with the services was it was more like a family group that I was going to instead of Live and Thrive. We all got to know each other, and I made some new friends, and we were all like-minded. We all got each other and we helped each other. I really learned a lot about myself going through services, and I went on a 12-week programme. I learned about my bad behaviours and how to change them and turn them around, and it was absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that, ladies.
This is really important, and I'm hoping this is what some people are going to hang the hat on a little bit. So I've talked a bit about accessing the service and how wonderful and helpful it had been for me, and how I wanted more of it. Was successful and accepted to join the service in the role of alcohol recovery volunteer at Burnley Inspire. And I started that just before lockdown, so I managed about 2 weeks, and then on the morning of lockdown I turned up to work, and I always talk about it as work when I'm there, because we are treated exactly the same as people who were in paid employment in the building. Turned up and I was sent home because volunteers weren't allowed in the building under the lockdown arrangements. Was really disappointed. But after a few weeks, more rang me, and basically, long story short, myself, Nina, and Dave did a training program, and in order for us to deliver another training program ourselves, we delivered managing stress course, and the training that we did ourselves was delivery excellence. That was a qualification accredited course which is available through Inspire. And then we began to deliver stress management program to our peers over Zoom, and conflict resolution to our peers over Zoom. And it's really funny because that sounds like a little thing, but actually we're on Zoom now and we're all talking to each other, and it seems very normal, but it didn't. It's only a few months ago, it didn't seem that normal. So it's been a really sort of rapid learning curve to actually work the program as well as to deliver the trainings, but incredibly rewarding. So we did that, and with regard to that package of training, we're now in the process of handing that over to some other volunteers and peer mentors who are coming through the service who want to be trainers as well. So it's growing just like Topsy. It's amazing. And Mo has explained to us that he's now wanting to run out a program called Next Steps, which will include the two courses that we did, the two training courses that we did, along with a lot of other sort of, it's like a toolkit for managing once you've been through some of the processes in Inspire. And then the other thing that I'm doing as part of my role as alcohol recovery worker with Jason Jackson, who's a key worker at Burnley, is delivering alcohol education sessions every Thursday morning for people who are new to service. So these are people who are either waiting for detox or between detox and rehab. And it's the equivalent of what EBI was when you used to be able to come into the building, but we're delivering that on Zoom. So I'm really enjoying that. I've had some really good feedback. It limped along a little bit the first couple of weeks, but really seemed to have gained a following, and our attendance rate is very good. And there were a number of people who started with us sort of 8 to 10 weeks ago who've now actually done their detoxes and have either done community rehabs or in rehab following the programme. So people seem to be moving in a straight line through the service. Gemma, where were you, would you say?
Well, after finishing Live and Thrive, I went on to the peer mentor training. That's where I met Katie. And I think that was 5 weeks, which was good. And then I went on to the naloxone training to train other people on how to use naloxone. And that's been pushed out into the community. So we can train people on how to use it and help people that need it. So that's me at the moment, really. And then just carry on with the training and hopefully go on to doing some Zoom sessions with people as well.
Thanks ever so much. Gemma, I'm really going to be annoying now. And Mo's going to be really cross because I forgot to tell everybody that also, along with Will and Johnny, who were peer mentors, I'm doing the PPA programme, which is, that's another to train the trainers to the next level, which will enable the three of us to be able to deliver the peer mentor training next year, hopefully. So that's another thing. It's quite a lot of things, isn't it? Katie, what about you?
Well, due to my substance misuse, I lost my job, I lost my house, I lost my children, and thanks to Inspire, I was able to regain all of that. And I was constantly asking my key worker, I want to do some training with Inspire. Please let me do some training with Inspire. And it was all on hold because of COVID. And then one day, Mo rang me and said, would like to, things are starting on Zoom. So I attended the training with yourself and Dave, the conflict
resolution.
That's it. And managing stress. And I saw you both and I just thought, I want to do what you're doing. I want to help people how you're helping people. It really, really inspired me. So then I did the peer mentoring course. And then once I'd completed that, I could then do other training courses with CGL. And I do as many as I can, really. I sign up to at least one a week. And it's just fantastic, really. I'm really feeling positive about my volunteering role with Inspire. Giving me some focus and to get things back on track in that area now.
Wow. So. Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, Katie. Jackie, what about you, love?
I'm in a really good place at the moment. I did family recovery coaching about 2 years ago. I've done the peer mentoring with Mo. That was brilliant. We did that during lockdown. We was the first peer mentors to actually do it on the digitally. It was really good. We made some new friends. All sessions were brilliant. We also did a session with you, Jackie, with the stress management, and Dave and Nina, and that I found that really enjoyable, finding out how stress affects your life in every day. I'm looking forward to learning still new things, and I'm always up for whatever's going on, and that's about it, really. All good.
Well, thank you. Gemma, I'll hand over to you, love.
Thank you. So my message for service users or people that want to access the service would just be go for it. It's been so beneficial for me. Everyone's really friendly and will do anything they can to help you. So yeah, don't be ashamed just to reach out for help. Jackie, what do you think is your message for service users?
I agree with Gemma. I think my message to service users would be to reach out, not to be afraid. But another little message, and it's something that I've noticed in the work that I'm doing now, is that sometimes people can make that initial phone call, can have that initial discussion, and it can be a little while just because of people's workload before they actually get picked up by the service properly. It's well worth the wait. It's well worth hanging in. And if you don't hear anything, it's well worth picking up the phone and giving it another ring. This has just meant the world for me and has turned my life around completely. And I can't emphasise that enough. I would not have envisaged myself being in this place. 2 years ago, I could not have seen myself doing this. I really couldn't.
Thank you. Thank you. Katie, what would your message for service users be?
Mine, again, is the same as your two ladies, but I'd also like to add that if you really, truly want the help then to change, then Inspire is just the best place to be. The help is there if you really, truly want it.
Jackie?
Yeah, basically everything basically everything that you lot have said, but don't be afraid. It's not as scary as what you think. Just get yourself in there and take every day as it comes.
Oh, and on that note, I think that's it. I think we need to wind that up a bit. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.